My name's Cheryl James, and I'm here to tell you a story about my son Andrew. January 19th, 2010, 9 years ago, we received a phone call, and they told us that Drew was being taken by ambulance to the hospital. So something tells a mom in her stomach when her child is not right and that things are bad. And so we immediately called everybody we knew and family to start praying. And naturally, we get to the hospital, and they said that they had done all they could do for him. So 3 days later, I told the boys that was with him, I wanted to know everything that he had done that day. So they told me that one of them came over here. It was his cousin, came over here, woke him up. He'd been sleeping. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. And they took him to go eat and to a movie. And they stopped by. His two brothers lived in Jacksonville. We live in a little rural area. And they had stopped by there and gotten him to be able to see his brothers for a few minutes. And then they came home. On their way home, they stopped at a convenience store and bought an energy drink. And it was a drink that he asked his cousin if he had ever had before, and he said no, he had never had that one. But anyway, Drew decided to drink it, and before they got back into our subdivision, which is about 7 miles away, Drew said he didn't feel good. He got out of the car and threw up. And then he walked up to where the other two boys were, his cousin and the other gentleman. And they said his eyes rolled back and he fell backwards. According to the medical examiner, my son died from cardiac arrhythmia. And this is something that you will hear watching these videos over and over and over. The amount of energy blend, it's not just the caffeine, it's all the other supplements that are in there, and some of them are not even told to you. Like the particular drink Drew had all the energy blends listed, and then down at the bottom, which has since been removed, it said an additional 2,500 milligrams of energy blend. 2,500 milligrams of anything is a large amount. And so, anyway, the boys brought that energy drink to me and told me that that's what had killed my son, because I didn't want some medical examiner or stranger to tell me what happened to my son. I will tell you at this time that a 19-year-old just doesn't die. This guy here was healthy, and he loved life. He was bigger than life itself. Family was the most important thing to him. We celebrated his birthday every year at my parents'. I mean, you're talking a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old. They don't just up and want to be with their family. That's how special he was. He loved sports, and he loved water. Anything having to do with water was his cup of tea. Like I said before, we live in a rural area, and if we got a lot of rain, we would get water in our ditches, and he would get a skimboard and go out to the ditches and skimboard. I mean, he loved being outside, and he loved being with his family. I can't say enough about the dangers of these drinks, and since 2010, I've heard way too many. For a long time, I felt like I was fighting this battle by myself, and I really wish it was still that way, because I know that the makers of these drinks know the dangers. I know what it's doing to our young kids. These guys will, they don't care that when you're 40 years old, that your heart is so bad that you can't play with your grandkids. That doesn't mean anything to them. They don't care that your heart is so bad that you can't even have a swallow of tea when you want, because of the damage that this can do to you if you're lucky enough to survive it. I just want to take a minute to encourage you guys to think about what you're doing, thinking about what you're putting in your body, and know the danger of these energy drinks.